Hey, Solomon here. I'm going to talk to you about one of my favorite things to do throughout the day and even throughout the year that really has helped me take a lot of things that's up in my mind and my emotions that are subjective and put it objectively on paper so then I can really see them for what they really mean, what I'm really feeling, and what the hidden kind of place or emotion that the thoughts that I may have are coming from. And it's also very appropriate with the season that we're going through right now. But first of all, it's called journaling. As you can see around me, I got various type of journals for ideas or little affirmations that I'll read through, journals from meditation retreats or different kind of experiences I went on, from journal conversations with people that I have many daily or weekly conversations with, books that I get various insights from daily journals to planners to drawing to daily thoughts. And what brings me to one of my favorite is with what's going on, what we're celebrating right now, the Passover season, is the counting of the Omer. And that's from the second night of Passover to 50 days later, we count the Omer. On the 50th day is when we received the Torah on Mount Sinai, excuse me. And the 49 days between there, we're told, as it says in Leviticus, you shall count from the day that you brought the Omer as a wave offering. Now, what is it, this Omer, and what is this Sefirat Ha'Omer that we call it? Now, I only recently, meaning the past year or so, really started to look into and study it. But something called my attention back in 2018 or so, which was in the Hebrew calendar, it was the year 5778. That's why I'm flipping through this journal. Something called me to it, and that really helped me experience and see what was going on in my life at that time. Now, back in January of 2018, I experienced a concussion that really shook my life, not only physically but everything that was kind of going around. And it was like any kind of injury or people going through different experiences or hardships, try to make meaning of it. And a couple months go by and I didn't really ever get it looked out. That was another thing. I was hard-headed, or as we also learned, the Jewish people are called stiff-necked people. And as an athlete, when I experienced this, I didn't want to get out of playing the game. So I, in a sense, suffered through any kind of emotional imbalances as well as physical because of the knock on the head that I was experiencing. I just went through it until many months later that things were really starting to get intense and turbulent, that I went and got it checked out. But I bring that up because by this time that year, so 2 years ago, I started this journal along with counting of the Omer, and I journaled counting of the Omer and observing my concussion. And I journaled things from like the first few pages, explaining what exactly the Omer is and what I learned at that time. So I shared the Kabbalists explain that 49 days that connect Passover and Shavuot correspond to the 49 drives and traits of the human heart. Each day brought the people of Israel one step closer to their election as God's chosen people, and their receiving as if communication to humanity. And I got that from this wonderful app called the Omer Counter. And then this year I'm using another very well-known or very appealing and insightful one called My Omer app. So I journaled that, and I wrote, here's my journey counting the Omer. I started on day 5 at the time, of my own personal exodus, and tracing my inner journey and observing my concussion. And I wrote for also like different insights that I read from a book called The Concussion Repair Manual at the time. The head injuries by nature screw up your motivation, attention, focus, concentration, your ability to track your results, etc. A coach is needed to get free and clear, just like Moses did for the people of Israel. It makes it tough to remember even and even be confident about my purpose. See, I can see, like, at this time when I was first journaling, now 2 years later, what exactly was going on, what was in my mind, and what the kind of emotions that I was experiencing. Now, since I started on day 5, and day 5 I think is actually tomorrow, I'll share exactly like the messages from 2 years ago, last year, and then the message that I have this year as a kind of a 3-year, you could say, journey or transformation. But like even in 2019, or the year 5779, I wrote, looking back, I know my fear is normal. I'm in a tough part of my life, and it's very scary doing what I'm doing, being fully awakened and doing it at the same time. It's tough, but I'm tougher. And so I'll get to, over the next journey of 49 to 50 days, I'll be making these videos and kind of meditations and insights that I have along with each of the days. I'll share those. I'd like to get started on, or really focus on, the first one, and then I'll have an individual video for each day of what I've journaled now in this year, 2020, or the Hebrew calendar year, 5780. And so on the first page, and I got a new journal because I got folded up over here, I wrote on the first page a little bit of introduction and more insights that I want to dive into. I really, really highly suggest this for anybody, even if they're getting started with journaling. Download those apps and write what comes to mind in those corresponding with those daily meditations, because each of the 49 days actually responds to your different emotions. We have the different emotional attributes. We have their namely they are chesed and gevura, and then those in harmony are tiferet. Then you have netzach and hod, and those in harmony are yesod, and then you have malchus. Now in Judaism and the Kabbalah we have 10 total sefirot, so these are just the emotional ones, which is beautiful. In the story of the Jews from the second night of Passover to receiving the Torah, it's the exile from Egypt. And if you look into like the Hebrew word for Egypt, Mitzrayim, it means constraints, limitations. And in Israel, it means like freedom, not literal like Israel, but the whole transformation and the journey. And so each week you go through one of the Sephira, and then it's also like sub-level one. I don't know the actual like word to describe it, but it's like the first day would be chesed, which is kind of is like loving kindness or kindness, and then that's the first week. And then each day is like another of the 7 attributes. So the first day would be chesed shebe chesed, chesed shebe gevura, and so on. And I really love how it just is broken down and into all these different emotional attributes, and you can see the different levels of understanding for each of these emotions, because chesed means kindness, or loving kindness, but there's so many dimensions towards loving a person or loving kindness. There's holding back. That's what the chesed shebe gevura is. You can love somebody, but also know to hold back. And you can, because loving is generally a giving kind of things, but sometimes we need to hold a space for somebody and not just give, because although it is essentially giving, i.e. the chesed part, there's many levels of understanding that I'll get to when I describe each day. But a couple more in this introduction video. I journal things like, this is the 3rd year of counting and journaling the Omer, the recording of the journey of the personal exile I had from Egypt into the freedom of Israel. Another thing I'd invite you to notice over the time of your own journaling, and what you'll see in mine, is a lot of my writings were very subjective, very personal, personally written, I, me, my kind of stuff, my this, my that. I'm feeling this. And over the years, as not only I've matured and developed more insight and knowledge and other things, not only about myself, but the world around me and other people and things that I'm reading, is that it slowly became more objective. And I find that very fascinating. But I'll continue. Insights from the Omer counter and my Omer, those are the apps that I mentioned earlier, followed by my personal journal reflections. Now I'll start with Chesed Shebe Chesed. Now this was on April 10th, April 10th, I believe. It was the night of the 9th, which was the second night of Passover. So in the evening you count it, evening you count the Omers, but on the day I like to do the journals with my morning coffee. So I know it's another thing. Find a time to, when you're comfortable, and get some nice tea or coffee, sometime when you're feeling kind of at peace, and to journal really what you're feeling and what you're thinking and what's kind of going wrong. So Chesed Shebe Chesed, as you can see if you want to zoom in a little bit, I have different things at the top that I may have gotten from these apps, and then I write my reflection. So Chesed Shebe Chesed, loving kindness in loving kindness. When you love others as yourself, wherever you go, they are there with you. So I wrote, over the past 2 years, my understanding about love has expanded in multiple levels and directions. The capacity to love another person has deepened because I know that I am that person. The more I grow and learn to love and to trust myself and internal guidance in me to get louder, the more I can be a vessel and a window for God's light. Now I was reading, one thing I wanted to share, because when I have my focus on this emotion, I start to pick up and see things that correspond or complement that. So I finished this wonderful book called Jacob's Ladder by Noah Ben Shea, and he has this story in it, I'll flip to it quickly, that really kind of complements this insight. If I can just flip to it. Hold on. I might cut this part out. Here we go. It's from a little short story called We Remember to Forget. One of the characters was telling a story to kids, and he said, once there was only one boy in the whole world. He felt he was the most important person, and he was, because there was no one to argue with him. There was also no one to talk with or play with. So one night, just before falling asleep, he prayed, Dear God, said the boy, I know that you made me special, but I wonder if you would please make more people just like me. The next day, when the boy woke, he found that the world was now filled with little boys, and they all looked just like him. They also all felt they were special just like him. Oh no, thought the boy, this won't do it at all. That night, the boy again prayed to God, Dear God, please let all the others know that they are not as special as I am. And God answered, But how can I make others think they are less important than you if the others are you? There must be something you can do, said the boy, upset that he had upset his world. This is what I will do, said God. I will put everyone in disguise. So though everyone is you, no one will look quite the same, and some will look quite different. But that won't be enough, said the boy. Everyone will remember that beneath the surface we are very much the same, and you made us all. Trust me, said God. Even you will remember to forget. I found that very cute and perfect for Chesed Shebe Chesed, which is loving others as yourself. And as I'll continue on, if you'll join me on this journey, as you'll see the different journal entries over the years, that comes with learning to love yourself and what that means, and then how you can love others, because you can only love others to the level of the understanding that you love yourself, and your own level of understanding of love itself. So thank you for listening, and I hope you continue to join me on this journey from week 1 of Chesed all the way to the final week of Malchut, from Chesed Shebe Chesed to Malchut Shebe Malchus, and to the 50th day, which is when we received the Torah on Mount Sinai. Thank you for listening. Take care, and happy Passover.